Hi, Mayor. Good morning.
How are you?
Good to see you, and good that this is going to be held in a weekly basis, so we have some issues that we can deal with you. During your campaign, we asked you about the Hispanic Advisory Board. The Hispanic population is growing tremendously in the city. Something has been done, said, or planned to revive the Hispanic Advisory Board at this point?
Yeah, we've been talking about that, and it's on my agenda. I definitely want to do that. We have been, people have reached out to us from the various chambers of commerce, and of course we have our own advocates right here in City Hall.
Yeah, I know.
Jose and Blanca. So definitely, we'll definitely get that moving.
Okay.
You can ask me again next week what I've done so far, and then,
Okay.
we'll move on it.
Okay.
Definitely. Are there some particular issues you think we should be addressing as an advisory board?
Yes, the issue that on the south end of the city, south of Okeechobee Road or south of Belvedere Road, the community policing is only confined to one guy that he tried to do his best, but he doesn't even speak Spanish. And I think we need to more present there and maybe more programs, or because there is a problem. Is going to be, I mean, there have been some issues about.
I mean, we do have police who are bilingual, and that's where we should put them for sure.
Right. This guy is doing the best he can,
great.
but yeah, but
Seth Buxton is the officer there, and he does a great job. Yeah, it's good. Okay, good point. Anything else?
I'll go next. I'm wondering, all the conversations about gun control we've had the past several months and the President's proposals today, where do you see the city's role in that to begin with?
Well, as a mayor, I'm a member of Mayors Against Illegal Guns, and that group has been very active in advocating and asking for a plan. We need a plan to address some of the issues that we have going, and we need our leaders to come up with a plan. And hopefully we'll see something soon from the President and the Vice President in terms of a direction to go in. I'm a gun control advocate personally. I don't really see any use for assault weapons except to hurt other people. And for the large magazines, I don't see any reason to have those. And I'm sure that this will generate a whole lot of cards and letters. But I don't know if you were here, Alex, when the state legislature passed a new ruling that concealed weapons would be allowed in city municipal buildings and city parks and places like that. And we really tried to fight that, but we really couldn't. We had to allow people to come into City Hall with concealed weapons. And right now that happens.
So as it stands, your hands are tied.
Well, I have a bully pulpit, and I could advocate, but there are just so many things that we as a city can advocate for, or can actually enact.
Later on today, the school board is going to hear some proposals about possibly adding armed security guards to all our campuses in this county and taking those measures. Are you supportive of that measure? You're not going to be there, I don't think.
I'm not, no. Not for any reason. I worry about, I'm an educator, and one of the things that's got to be highest on our priority is keeping our kids safe. The question is, how do we do that? I worry about having guns on campus, whether they're in the hands of police or in the hands of anybody else. It's unfortunate that we even have to have this conversation. I read the other day that close to 700 people have been killed with a gun since the Sandy Hook accident. Sandy Hook, Newtown. 700 people in less than a month, and it just seems like we really have to do something.
But as someone who knows some of the major players in this, where's the will to do it, and how do you turn the page on that?
Well, you know, it's very difficult because of the strong lobby that the NRA has. It's hard to ignore that, but I think even NRA is beginning to look at this in a more pragmatic way. I mean, I think people who hunt for sport, I think people who shoot for sport, I not in any way want to take their guns away. I think that's not what we're talking about.
On the city level, though, when you hear about the stories in Tamarind Avenue, other parts of this area, do you think that illustrates the problem with the kinds of accessibility we have and the kinds of guns that are on the streets here?
Yeah, one of the things we have to do is get the guns off the street. The police chief and I have been talking about a plan to do that. He and I are both interested in this project called Ceasefire, which is very successful in Chicago, has been researched extensively at Johns Hopkins. Our police chief has been involved with it in his previous role in Cincinnati. So we're going to start that process. We've talked about bringing a trainer in from Cincinnati to begin to work with our people. We've talked to the new state's attorney about being a part of that. So we're beginning that process. We got to get the guns off the street. You know, in the old days, if you had a beef with someone, you had a fight. You know, maybe you pulled out a knife, but, you know, you had a fist fight and that was it. Now we pull out a gun and kill each other, and it just has to stop. So we're looking at what we can do proactively with partners like the state's attorney and the police department and social services, because it has to be a multiple-pronged approach.
Switching gears a little bit, the city commission is preparing to hire their own attorney to have one on retainer, and I was wondering, how do you feel about that proposal?
I'm okay with that. Actually, when I was on the city commission, I thought it was a good idea. I think it's always good to have a second opinion when you have a question about it, and you know, they're looking at putting someone on retainer to talk to periodically. I hope they find someone who has a lot of knowledge and experience in municipal law, because, you know, just your average attorney isn't going to know all the nuances that we have to deal with here, but I'm okay with it.
Why do you think it's taken so long? You said when you were a commissioner you were in favor of that.
Well, you know, I don't know. I think it just something that hasn't been high on the priority list, and you know.
What about the city attorney? I mean, do you see the city attorney as the attorney for the city or more as the attorney for the mayor's office?
She's the attorney for the city. And she advises us on what's legal and what's not.
So then why do you think the commission wants or needs a separate one? Just a second opinion, or?
You have to ask them that.
Okay.
Anything else?
I have one more thought. This is for tomorrow morning, for the morning show. The Palm Beach Lakes Mall demolition. Maybe some thoughts on where we are in the process and just what's coming there in the coming.
Oh, you see that hard hat over there? I will have that on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I think, and they will be starting the demolition. So they are going to be actively in the demolition process over the next few weeks, and they are still on schedule to open towards the end of this year.
Maybe talk about the economic driver that's coming with this project.
Well, that's huge. We've already seen it. For example, you know, this is, you know, where the Palm Beach Mall is, across Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard and sort of behind near Congress. We have a great new housing development that's just been proposed. It's gone through the process, actually, been approved, Meisner Lakes. And this is going to be a rental project, upscale, very nice, and that's going to affect that whole Palm Beach Lakes Congress corridor. We have a new hotel going in over there, and all of this, I'm sure, was spurred on in some ways by what was being done at the Palm Beach Mall. We have the proposal at the Presidential Country Club, so we're talking about sort of all four corners of that area being further developed, and we'll see a whole different sort of economic energy in that area.
Sounds like more jobs, more growth.
Absolutely more jobs, and certainly more opportunities for economic development to come into the city. You know, more people to come to the city because of the new hotel, and more people living in the city because of the new residential places that are being proposed. So, yeah.
I know they said the mall originally, I think it was supposed to open this fall, but that's when demolition was more like October, that time period. Have they given you a time period of when they now think is realistic?
They're still looking at, they've always been talking about the beginning of the season of this year. So November, you know, October, November, December of 2013. They're still on course for that.
Another question, there's a county mayor now. How do you feel about that?
Oh man. I don't think I'm going to comment on that. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a county mayor. I think that should be an elected position from the public. And if the county commission wants to change a charter to have an elected county mayor, I'd be very supportive of that.
So you think that could work, a strong county mayor?
I think it could, but I would want someone who was elected by the public to be that.
Anything else you want to tell us?
Well, we're getting ready for the State of the City, which is a week from today, actually. And I think that will be an interest. It's always an interesting time. It's a nerve-wracking time for me. I get nervous talking to 1,000 people like that. But one of the things we're going to talk about is the growth that's been going on here in the city. And I think, Andrew, you probably have some of this information already, but our planning revenues are exceeding planning revenues as far back as 2005. So we're bringing in more planning revenues than we have since 2005. Our permits, so it's not just people bringing in plans, people are actually pulling permits. Our permits have doubled in terms of permit fees that are paid. So last year we were at a low because of the economic situation of $100 million or $102 million. This year we're at $204 million, so we've doubled that, which is just amazing. We see a lot of projects coming down the pike. Some of them are really great. Some of them there will be questions about, which is appropriate. But we really have to think about how that affects our tax base. And one of the things we're trying to do is bring more businesses in here, more projects, so that we can expand our tax base, because we need to do that. We used to take in about $85 million in taxes. We're now at about $60 million in taxes. And that doesn't, our police budget's about $58 million. So that $60 million barely covers the police budget. So we have to look at other ways to expand our tax rolls. It takes $15 million in new construction to pay for and outfit one police officer.
Is there another projected shortfall for next year, do you know?
We haven't, no, we're not projecting a shortfall at this point, but we haven't even begun the budget process yet, so I can't, we're right in budget with our current budget, and that's what we need to do. We don't have any numbers from property appraisers or anything, so we don't have any numbers to say if there's going to be a shortfall or not. Mm-hmm. But we have heard, and I think you've probably heard the same thing, that property values are going up and have gone up, and sales of homes have gone up. Inventory is very low, so we're hopeful.
Okay, thank you guys.